I mean, I said earlier today in the show, I don't know what he gets up to with Lord Ali.
Well, I'm not really surprised that Channel 4 couldn't get its head round the story because they don't have the right judgment.
I don't know what he does for hours and hours on end at this flat that they seem to be happy to...
Picture this: a respected politician, standing in what appears to be a modest home, delivers a heartfelt tribute to the late Queen. The nation mourns together, united in grief. But behind the scenes, a very different story unfolds. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Isabel Oakeshott, known for her hard-hitting journalism, drops a bombshell on live TV.
Well, quite clearly, is a bunch of adolescents who haven't got a clue what they're doing, least of all the man at the top of this.
It seems he's played his hand quite well, spraying money and favours around the very top of this government. Called politicians having a great time. And I tell you what else they hate. They hate the lies.
The home isn't what it seems, and neither is the politician. We'll take you through this unfolding drama and its implications for British politics. Isabel Oakeshott's revelation about Keir Starmer's use of Lord Ali's $188 million penthouse has sent shockwaves through the political landscape. The contrast between Starmer's carefully cultivated public image and his private actions couldn't be starker. Here's a man who presents himself as a champion of the working class, yet he's filming tributes in borrowed luxury that most Britons can only dream of. The implications of this revelation are far-reaching. Starmer's decision to use such opulent surroundings for his public messages raises questions about his judgment and authenticity. It's not just about the penthouse itself, but what it represents. How can a politician claim to understand the struggles of ordinary people when he's surrounded by such extravagance? Public perception of political authenticity is already at an all-time low, and Oakeshott's bombshell is likely to erode it further.
And it's quite obvious to me that there have been lies and that there are still lies.
So are they going to mention the fact that Keir Starmer is under the cosh here, that, you know, Lord Ali and the revelations coming out of the penthouse?
So in itself, that setup of the message during lockdown.
Experts in political communication suggest that such revelations can have a lasting impact on a politician's credibility. Dr. Sarah Thompson, a political psychologist, notes, when voters perceive a disconnect between a politician's words and actions, it can lead to a profound loss of trust that's difficult to recover from. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. Oakeshott's investigation hints at deeper secrets within Starmer's private life that have been ignored by mainstream media. What other discrepancies might be hiding behind the carefully constructed facade? Are there more instances of Starmer saying one thing in public while doing another in private? The reluctance of media outlets to delve into these aspects of Starmer's life is raising eyebrows. Some speculate that there's a deliberate attempt to shield him from scrutiny. Others wonder if there's simply a lack of appetite for investigative journalism when it comes to certain political figures.
From Lord Ali's flat that was made to look like Keir Starmer's own property, that was a lie. This is actually kind of one of the most dangerous stories for a government or political party because it's really quite easily understood.
And that is, for me, possibly the worst and most damaging aspect of this.
As we peel back the layers of this story, it becomes clear that the penthouse revelation is just the tip of the iceberg. It serves as a critical moment for Starmer's political career, highlighting the growing discontent over perceived discrepancies between his promises and actions. But let's not stop at personal choices. How do these revelations about Starmer's private life reflect on his policy decisions? Are we seeing a similar pattern of inconsistency in his approach to governance? It's time to examine how this disconnect between words and actions might be playing out on a larger scale in British politics. While Starmer fumbles at home, his international missteps paint an even more troubling picture.
This is a guy who is leading our country, who is the representative of the United Kingdom.
You know, they are out of touch with how viewers and voters feel.
At the United Nations, you know, he's not the head of state, but he's, you know, the leader of the nation. He has lived a complete lie.
Picture this. A political rival extends an olive branch that could bridge ideological divides and strengthen Britain's position on the world stage. How did Starmer respond? His reaction speaks volumes about his approach to diplomacy. Nigel Farage, a controversial figure but undeniably well-connected, offered to facilitate a dialogue between Starmer and former US President Donald Trump. In today's complex geopolitical landscape, such connections can be invaluable. Yet Starmer chose to ignore this opportunity, raising questions about his ability to navigate international relations effectively. This decision didn't occur in a vacuum. It's part of a broader pattern of diplomatic hesitancy that's causing concern among political analysts. Starmer's administration seems to prioritize ideological alignments over pragmatic collaborations, potentially jeopardizing the UK's strategic interests. Critics argue that his foreign policy lacks coherence and fails to prioritize long-term national goals. The consequences of this approach are becoming increasingly apparent. By not engaging with Trump, Starmer may have alienated a potential ally and weakened Britain's position in broader international affairs. This misstep is particularly glaring given the importance of the US-UK relationship. But the issues don't stop there. Oakeshott has pointed out that Starmer's reluctance to engage extends beyond Trump, indicating a wider pattern of disengagement from key global figures.
I mean, I've said earlier today in the show, I don't know what he gets up to with Lord Ali.
Well, I'm not really surprised that Channel 4 couldn't get its head round the story because they don't have the right judgment.
I don't know what he does for hours and hours on end at this flat that they seem to be happy to.
This behavior raises serious questions about the effectiveness of Starmer's leadership on the global stage. Perhaps most alarmingly, there are accusations of negligence in handling British territories. Oakeshott claims that certain decisions were made without proper parliamentary discussions or consultations, further fueling concerns about transparency and accountability within Starmer's administration. As we examine these international blunders, a troubling picture emerges of a leader who may be out of his depth in global affairs. The contrast between Starmer's promises of strong leadership and his actions on the international stage is stark. It leaves us wondering, how will these missteps impact Britain's standing in the world? And what does it mean for the future of UK foreign policy under Starmer's leadership? As we've seen, the gap between Keir Starmer's promises and actions continues to widen. From the penthouse revelation to his international blunders, a pattern of inconsistency emerges. It's crucial for voters to look beyond carefully crafted public images and scrutinize the real-world impacts of politicians' decisions. The future of British politics hangs in the balance. Will leaders like Starmer be held accountable for their contradictions, or will they continue to benefit from selective media coverage and public apathy? The answer lies with you, the voters. As we move forward, remember that true democracy thrives on informed citizens. Question narratives, seek out diverse perspectives, and demand transparency from those in power. The health of our political system depends on it. The revelations about Starmer serve as a stark reminder. In politics, actions speak louder than words.